Welcome
Hi.
to the channel. If you're new, welcome. I appreciate you coming by and checking this podcast out. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. If you've never actually checked out this channel before, welcome. My partner, Emptyeye,
Hello. That's me.
and I used to host a podcast called Music for Two a little bit over 2 years ago, and that's Mario, our cat on the ground. We decided to bring this podcast back for a second season with a little bit of a twist on the format. Hopefully, this feels a little bit lighter and shows off our musical nerd sides even better. We're bringing back this podcast to you once a quarter, we believe, or every 3 months roughly. With that said, let's jump into MTI's pick. Why don't you introduce us to what we have chosen to listen to today?
Sure. So my pick is the album 72 Seasons by Metallica. Their latest album released April 14th, 2023. They've been on tour promoting it basically nonstop since then. The album is essentially kind of a concept album regarding the first 18 years of a person's life. And I picked this album because I like Metallica, but I will admit to not really following their output after about 2010 or so. Death Magnetic. I missed the Hardwired to Self-Destruct album in there as well.
I didn't even know this album was out or that they were touring. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
I had to do a quick Google search to figure out when it was recorded and when it was released. It's wait, they have a new album out?
Yeah. Beyond that, album is 12 tracks, 77 minutes, and there's a interview with, I think, James somewhere where he actually talks about how he and Lars get into these arguments about how long the album should be. Metallica albums since about 1995 have been long. They've pushed the limits of the single CD format to the extent CDs are a thing anymore. Lars is of the opinion, I think it's Lars who takes the opinion of if they record 14 songs for an album, they should release all 14. And James is more on the side of why can't we take the best 8 of those 14 songs and just make a killer 8-song album that's maybe a little shorter. As you can see from the track listing here, Lars usually wins these arguments. So that is my reasoning for picking this album.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, yeah, I was just let's just roll with it. MTI wants this one. Just so you know, we are going to be listening to it all in one go, and then we're going to stop and we're going to not record. We're going to react to different channels or whatever. So if you see us kind of jumpy in the editing, that's why. Yeah. I am of the opinion that I need to hear it all the way through once before I can actually give a proper reaction to it. MTI is just I want to react on the fly. I want to be able to pause the thing, and I'm trust me, you do not want my my brain to react on the spot, because it won't be PC, number one, and two, or not PC. It won't be family friendly or PG. Yeah, that's the words I'm looking for. Yeah. See, that's anyway. So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna listen to the first time through, and the second time through, we'll do some pausing through the thing and give our reactions. Oh wait, you had something you wanted.
Yeah, before we begin, I have heard one of the songs before. I've heard Lux Eterno. I think song 6 somewhere.
Yeah. according to the list, yes.
That was the pre-release track that they put out.
Okay. And also, so you know that when we're doing the first listen through, I might be doing a little bit of crafting. Depends if I can get my hands to work. Anyway. All right. Here we go.
Let's go.
I think that's the end of that song. We could never tell. Okay. Yeah, we're going to actually take a quick breather between the two versions. We're planning on going and watching the YouTube version of it, kind of the visual thing, now that we've actually heard the album all the way through. I'm going to be writing out all of the show notes that we kind of took, because I did take 7 pages worth of notes. I have no idea about him.
I took a mere 2.5 pages.
Anyway, with our my snarky thoughts, because that's how I tend to listen to music the first time, is okay, I know the artist, I know what the artist sounds like in recent past. What does their new album sound like? And just kind of compare and contrast and stuff like that. That's mostly what my notes are, and really snarky comments and stuff. But we will discuss more of that in just a little bit, because Okay, back from our break. Just a word of warning: Emptyeye and I did have some off-stream or off video talks about certain things, just so that way we're a little bit on the same path and whatever.
Yep.
I'm looking over. I'm like, hey.
Say something, please.
Well, yeah. Well, some of the things that we were kind of thinking initially about certain things, we wanted to make sure we were like, okay, what are we going to say on the video or not where the line is essentially on things. So glad we did that. With that said, the first track we had was 72 Seasons, the title track. We decided we were going to make that the one that we focus on for our YouTube video, but we'll get to that at the end.
Okay.
Unless you want to do it now.
That's up to you. You're driving. I'm just here.
All right, well, if I'm driving the bus, then I want to do it.
You can go ahead and do it.
All right, let's get us into the official trailer video after the ads, because of course there's ads. All right, there we go.
We don't have mega premium YouTube or whatever it is.
I ain't paying for that, Shiza.
Okay.
I mean, the video kind of fits with the theme of the whole album, actually.
Yeah.
Alright. So, my first reaction in all of this is definitely that drum kick is definitely getting you, like, set up and into the song, right?
Right.
Like, that was the first thing I noticed. And definitely, if you didn't know that this was a Metallica album, you do now.
No, you do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my initial thoughts were this song reminds me of, it's kind of a classic Metallica opener for an album. It very much reminds me of That Was Just Your Life from Death Magnetic, which in turn reminds me of Blackened from Injustice for All in particular. And I find that interesting that
kind of went with the same kind of
in a way, yeah, a little bit of a safe opener almost. But I think had this been the first song I heard off the album, as opposed to the actual first song I heard off of the album, which was Lux Eterna, I would probably have been more excited for it than I was.
Fair.
Make of that what you will.
That is fair, though. That is actually really fair. Do like the axe, though. Not even gonna lie. Now, if you don't know, axe equals guitar. All right. I had to double check, but one of my notes says it was like they just said, you know what? More speed. I mean, am I wrong though?
You're not.
But I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I definitely tend to prefer the more up-tempo Metallica stuff.
Oh yeah, same.
Even like the 1990s stuff that I like tends to be what is for 1990s Metallica, relatively more up-tempo.
Right, stuff. Yeah, exactly. And it's the ones that get the most radio play, it seems like, too. To be completely fair. Except with the exception of a few.
I'm not sure about, but
I don't know. They're the ones that I notice.
Right.
I mean, you probably have a better repertoire of Metallica music than I do, to be honest. Like, I think you remember more than I do. That could be true.
Yeah.
All right. Although I say a lot of the tracks on this album are very long. This one doesn't feel like this. Like the whole time. Stopping.
Right.
It's not quite a... Because that would hurt my head.
Right.
But pretty damn close. I mean, they have to make their money somehow with this one, so. This is actually on the Metallica channel. I'll link it down below. Yes, anything we do on YouTube or wherever we're getting things is going to be linked below. I do like the lighting on it though.
Yeah,
the lighting definitely
style.
plays with it very well. Like when they have a change in like key or tempo or something. Something like simple as that.
Right.
Is a nice change
cool.
up from all the red and stuff. And I'm just like, mwah.
Red and orange, yeah. I like
Red
the
and orange.
contrast
Yeah,
that goes in the
exactly.
middle section there.
Yeah. It's very visually fits the theme. Let's put it that way. Kind of looks like that a neuron map of somebody's brain. Like I watched a lot of house and stuff where they show you the imaging of the brain on with somebody listening to a music like this.
Right.
It kind of is actually kind of amazing that they made a visual representation of it, which is so cool because they know who they are. Right. Let's just put it that way. Okay. Sometimes, the first time I was listening to the album, I'm not gonna lie, the lyrics definitely eluded me just a little bit. I was definitely paying more attention to the beat and stuff, and so you can kind of see. Too. You can also see that with the way that my brain and head are moving as I'm listening to the track. It's I don't know if I want to follow this one or do I want to follow this one, but at the same time, it's just it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
That's why. That's what good music is. I'm telling you. That's why we picked this one. I do like that transition, though.
Yeah. I feel like I've seen that strobe the band playing kind of surrounded by almost strobe light thing. I feel like I've seen that in other videos. I don't remember if they were Metallica videos or not, but I feel like I've seen that imagery.
Oh, that yeah. No, I see what you mean though. Yeah. I do like the visuals on that though. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah. That's a cool video.
Yeah. So speaking of this title track, we did find. Well, I found specifically a quote from Headphone themselves, who said, 72 seasons, the first 18 years of our lives that form our true or false selves. The concept that we were told is who we are by our parents, a possible pigeonholing around what kind of personality we think we are. I think the most interesting part of this continued study of the core beliefs and how it so basically he just keeps going on prisoners of childhood and breaking free of the bonds we carry, which honestly this video pretty much encompasses that. Yeah. Now that I'm thinking of, that's what made me think to go over and check my notes that I had made about it, because I'm you know what, they smashed that one out of the park. Yeah. Literally with the imagery on that, I think there's more of the video, but yeah, just you know what I mean. Am I bugging or what? It seems like that's kind of the.
You're not wrong.
Least.
One of the things I did notice was that they kind of shoehorned the title into the meter of the song. It felt like.
Oh.
I heard the first time listening through, at the end of the chorus, I heard "Seasons Gone." Or 2 seasons gone, and I was okay, he's just from the title, he's probably saying 72 seasons gone, but I can't figure out where 72
right.
I couldn't figure out where that actually was until the last time through, and I was oh, that's a kind of a weird way to do it, but
it is an interesting thought though.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to talk about the next one maybe? That is Shadows Follow.
Shadows Follow. Yep. My one sentence summary here was I don't know if this specifically reminded me of the end of the line, but I felt at this point I felt like I was listening to Death Magnetic but with better production.
Okay.
And then the other thing I noted was there was like some actual harmony in this song, which is not something you see a whole lot of.
There's a lot more attempts to rhyme too, and like multiple rhymes in one sentence. I don't know if that was meant as an ironic thing or if it just happened that way based on what they were writing anyway. That was something I picked up on. But I liked a good backbeat though. That was pretty good. I had so much fun with this one too.
Yeah.
Like definitely with all like the shadow imagery and things like that. You know, like everyone's like, I don't know, it felt like the whole track on a whole was kind of muddy, which did kind of like play in with that like demon imagery and like their inner demons kind of just like coming out to play, you know, and following them around. I don't know, I'm talking with
my hands. You are.
I don't know.
Yeah, so I have do you want to go on to the next song? Or do you have more?
I have more on my notes, but honestly, it was just an overall bop. So the rest of it is circumstantial, and it'll be in the show notes if you want to know all that I wrote down.
Yeah, I'll put kind of my unedited notes.
Yeah, same.
I'll give those to
Yeah.
Silver, and they can.
Alright, so the third one, Screaming Suicide.
Screaming Suicide, right. So it's in a different key than the first two songs. This is also the first time that I remember, at least on this album. The first couple tracks, James Hetfield largely stayed away from the James Hetfield-isms that you think of when you think of like a caricature of James Hetfield. Ending every word like this, yeah!
Yes, exactly.
It gets to a point where, and I swear this happened, a few years back I did karaoke at a local convention. One of the songs I did was Sad But True by Metallica. Right. And I am not kidding you that the words actually put, like, the lyrics on the screen. They had the Hetfield-isms on the screen there. It was literally like, hey, I'm your life. I'm the one who takes you there.
Was it Guitar Hero?
No. It was Kineticon. I did it at.
No, I mean the game that you were playing.
No, it wasn't a game. It was karaoke. It was actually karaoke.
Okay, I was going to say. Doing karaoke. I was going to try to find y'all video of it and pop it in there, but it's fine. Go ahead. What were you saying? Sorry.
So, this is kind of the first song of what, early in the album still, but the first song where he's kind of doing the James Hetfield thing on a few of the words.
Yeah.
The other thing is more generally, and this is where we can kind of, if we want to sort of
we should
diverge into some of what we were speculating about, because it comes up here kind of. Yeah,
this is the first time that I noticed it.
Okay.
And when I started noticing it and writing about it in my own notes.
This was I think probably the second or the third time I noticed it. So, before I go any further, I actually listened to another song not on the setup we were using for this, which is
on a different computer. Yeah.
So I went on a different setup because I wanted to make sure I was hearing what I was hearing and it wasn't just your setup.
Right.
I think what I was hearing was kind of exacerbated by the setup. So it made it seem even worse than it was.
Okay.
But it is definitely still there, what I heard. So going into another tangent, which I'm good at. Since the year 2000, Metallica have released 4 albums and then an album with Lou Reed, which we won't count in that total.
Okay.
Of those Fair 4 enough. Albums, I have heard now 3 of them: Saint Anger, Death Magnetic, and 72 Seasons. Still need to get back to Hardwired. I'll do that, I swear.
Yep.
All 3 of them, yes, this includes Saint Anger.
Right.
I am on record as being a Saint Anger apologist. All 3 of those albums, if I had to sum them up, they are music I mostly like, accompanied by at least one utterly baffling production decision. Saint Anger has been kind of memed about to death. It's the drums. It's the fact that the song's absent solos don't need to be as long as they are.
Right.
Death Magnetic was just loud to the point of, like, actual being painful to listen to.
Yeah, I agree. That one.
And now this album, what I noticed is a lot of the vocals have either a ton of reverb or are just EQ'd really strangely, even where they don't have reverb.
Yeah.
And I have kind of some thoughts as to why. I will, as Silver and I discussed, we were kind of speculating off stream. I will try to keep this basically factual.
Yeah. I was wondering if his vocals got affected by like COVID somehow, but I don't know. You seem to have more like vocal knowledge.
I think we're both kind of on the same page,
right?
Which the one sentence, almost snarky summary is James Hetfield has lost a step, and the effect is to try to cover that up. I kind of feel like but what I don't know that it was one specific thing. I think it's probably just hi Mario. Can you? Yeah, you kind of can't see him there. You can see like the top of his head.
That's Mario.
Music for 3. Okay.
Because we can't have music for 2 because we have a cat. No. But anyway.
So at the time the album was recorded, James Hetfield would have been roughly in his late 50s.
Right.
He has been doing this a long time.
Yes.
And let me first approach this from I love Metallica. I believe you do as well.
Yes.
Love their music, love James Hetfield, so this is not just me slamming the guy.
No.
But I think even he would probably admit a lot of this stuff that I'm kind of speculating about. Right. He's been doing this for a long time. That's just a lot of wear and tear on your voice. Even if even if you're keeping your voice in tip-top shape for all that time.
Right.
I think it's fair to say both he was never the most technically sound singer. And I think it's also fair to say, and he would admit this, he was, let's say, less than diligent about taking good care of his voice, even
even before all the things,
when he was younger. And I think the short version is it's just kind of, sadly, as it does with us all,
wear and tear.
Father Time is undefeated, as they say. And I think Father Time may be starting to catch up to him, and the vocal effects are a way of
hiding it?
Yeah, masking it.
Yeah.
Season 1, version 1.0 of this podcast had something where I started doing it organically, and then it sort of turned into a bit where I tried to tie everything back into Def Leppard. I'm going to avoid that here, but just know that from what I know of Def Leppard, I picked up something. One of the things I picked up was you can cover up a lot of things with reverb. So I'll kind of leave it at that. And I think that just all the effects on the vocals are a part of that. It could also be a conscious writing decision as well. There are a few other songs later on where I kind of note that, where some of the actual vocal choices seem to be made with a specific direction in mind.
Right.
I don't know that this is one of those songs. There was a spoken part in this song. It kind of reminded me of the Judas Kiss from Death Magnetic.
Oh, okay, yep.
Do you have anything else on that?
A lot of it just has to do with like what we were saying we weren't going to say.
Okay, some of the speculation.
Basically, and things that,
right,
because public figures and YouTube regulations. Right. So anyway, let's go on to, number 4 was Sleepwalk My Life Away.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't even know. I said I'm liking the bass. That's my first note there.
I have very bass drum. Oh, very bass driven, I think is what.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
Once we get to the main title in the lyric, about 2 minutes and 30 seconds in, it's very powerful by that point because you've got all the background bassy, all that other instrumentals, and then all of a sudden you've got this one lyric that comes in. It's like, okay, I understand. I understand what you're going with this album.
Right.
or this particular track.
Yeah. One of my observations was that this one seemed to have less reverb on the vocals than some of the other ones.
Right.
I just realized from the title of this may have been intentional, but I got a very "We Have Enter Sandman at Home" vibe.
Pretty much, yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking too, but
which is not necessarily a bad thing,
right?
That is a good formula. One of probably my favorite song on Load, "King Nothing," is
right
again the same that "We Have Enter Sandman at Home." Let's run it back, for the next album.
Right? Yeah.
So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it was there. That was like probably the easy comparison for me to make.
Right. So. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. I made a note. Something at 5 minutes and 6 seconds looked like the awesome guitar beat, and then something Dan was pretty good too. I'm gonna like I said, I'm gonna write it all down. The beat and stuff was pretty good. Okay, that's what that was. And then at the very end, that ending, like I was just like, wowee. A little bit of sinister, a little bit of awesome. Right. This whole track, I think.
Yeah.
Makes sense, yeah.
It does, yeah.
Cool. All right, let's see. The next one, You Must Burn.
You Must Burn. That's not that song goes.
Yeah.
That's my favorite song.
Like, I don't know, this is definitely a heavier themed song, I think, than the few before it, especially. Like, just... Yeah, I was noticing on the whole, overall, based on my past and stuff, definitely being a little bit triggered by certain songs, and this was one of them.
Yeah, you mentioned not paying a lot of attention to the lyrics on the first time through, but I think you do more so than me.
Right. Well, like, I definitely related to the lyrics more so. But honestly, like, there were some songs where I paid more attention to the music and whatever. And this one, I happened to zero in on the vocals for some reason. I'm not too sure what, but, like, that was the one note I had there. It was good downbeats, so definitely got that one in there. Mm-hmm. I say that a lot throughout my notes, I'm not gonna lie. Let's see. Also, the subject matter does tend to follow with the whole music as a whole, so it did mesh really well. It wasn't like a ziggy zaggy. It was,
Right.
I don't know, was you?
Yeah, so my initial thought was it was a bit of a slower groove at the start, and I was wondering how long that would last.
Right.
This is probably the song thus far where James Hetfield is the most caricature of James Hetfield-y.
Yeah.
I noticed an uptick in the ahs in this song.
Yeah.
The middle section kind of reminded me of getting back to the vocal discussion. This is where I'm wondering how much of a conscious choice the whole lots of reverb thing was, and not just covering things up, because I got a very Alice in Chainsy vibe from the middle section vocals in this song.
Well, there was a very distinct guitar riff that I want to talk about at about 5 minutes and 20 minutes in. It was just like, dude, it's like a signature for the guitarist at that point. Like, I swear I've heard that guitar riff so many times, not just in this album, but past albums too, which is cool. It was like one of those I like that riff. Cool, let's keep going. That's the moment I had in my brain. I actually wrote that down. It was definitely a dancing feel to it, as if the guitarist is actually playing along with the flames and the whole imagery part of it, playing with the singer's demons essentially throughout it. I don't know if that was just my interpretation of it.
Yeah, I don't know. And then my only other note was the song is about burning witches, while witches were burned in what is probably the most famous of the witch hunts in at least the U.S.
Oh, geez, yeah.
The Salem witch trials. Somewhat, but somewhat infamously, witches were not burned there; they were hanged. Except for one, suspected witches. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
except for one guy who got crushed, Giles Corey.
Mm-hmm.
But there were 0 burnings at the stake in the Salem witch trials. That's all. That's my that is my one actually moment for the podcast.
Actually,
right?
I was looking at you like, Dad, I don't care.
Yeah, he's like,
I just want pets.
Yeah, he's like, where are my pets? Where are my yummies?
Yeah. So basically, going forward, when he hops up on either one of our laps, we're going to put up his picture because
you can't really see him in the camera there. You can sort of see the top of his head.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the next one, which is Lexaturna. I think that's how they said that.
Yeah.
I don't.
So this was the one song on the album I had actually heard prior to this.
Right.
And I remember not particularly liking it. Yeah. Reminded me a little bit of Motor Breath off of Kill 'Em All.
Mm-hmm.
Probably more so just because it's at 3.5 minutes. It's pretty short for a Metallica song.
Right.
And this was the reverb part of it that I kept mentioning. Mm-hmm. This was where I was like, okay, I need to listen to one of these songs on my computer to see if I'm actually hearing it. Because I didn't remember that the first time I heard it.
Right. And my setup actually has a reverb, surround sound bar right underneath my computer. A bar to it. Yeah. So we weren't sure which one it was.
Yeah.
The verdict, you were like, no, it really was like that, or
your setup made it worse, but I think it is there.
Okay. All right.
I kind of noticed when you were between sessions here, Silver was watching a YouTube video that was just spoken word.
Mm-hmm.
I do think the setup accentuated what was already there.
Right.
Based on listening to that, but it is there more so than I would say a lot of Metallica albums.
Gotcha. So. Okay. Alrighty. I guess we knew that one. My only notes were there was a lot of dancing guitar. The frenzied situation lyric was definitely accompanied very well with the music in the background. I noticed that. It also seemed very much at the very end how they were trying to how they were kind of tapering off most artists do when they're going, okay, we're going to end the concert, but right before they do the the encore kind of thing, it kind of sounded like it was a pre-planned song, so that way when they're on tour, they're like, oh, we play this one, and then this is the last song, and then kind of goes from there. But that could just be the snarky me talking.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, you mentioned the lyrics and the line "full speed or nothing."
Yeah,
another thing that kind of reminded me of Motor Breath.
Yeah, there's a lot of lyrics. Kind of, I can see what you mean, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so for this next one, Crown of Barbed Wire, I definitely seem to kind of enjoy this one quite a bit more.
Mm.
As evidenced, I'm going to show you guys. I don't know if you're not going to be able to read any of my handwriting, but a literal page of notes.
Right.
I definitely got the allegory part of it, I think, in most of my notes here. Heavy is the person that wears the crown and the responsibility of knowing what's coming and dealing with that shiza. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that was just me.
So Metallica have never exactly shied away from religious imagery.
Right.
Creeping Death, all about the plagues.
Right. Mm-hmm.
There's the cover of Master of Puppets with all the crosses.
Right. Yeah.
My Friend of Misery.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually, even though I don't know how similar they sound, the song this most reminds me of is not My Friend of Misery. The God That Failed. That's the one I'm thinking of.
Right, yeah.
So going back to kind of the theme of the album, the first 18 years of your life. Bye, Mario. James Hetfield was raised Christian Scientist. He did not particularly like this for all sorts of reasons. And you can kind of hear that in some of the songs like this or the God That Failed.
Yeah. This is why this is another one that kind of triggered me and got me like thinking, and also like really.
This one is again with the with the reverb and the sort of the Alice in Chains vibe.
I don't know, like the first part of the song, I just was like, okay, are we in a video game right now? Like until we got to the main chorus, I was just like, are we in a video game right now?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to play that again here. Like maybe it's just me. I don't know. I couldn't tell you why. It just sounded like a video game track for a little while. I don't know. I did like I'm like I mentioned in a lot of these, I did like the backbeat. Right. Honestly, if they didn't know this isn't what they meant, well, like about the whole, heavy wears a crown thing. If it isn't what they meant, then I'll eat that damn barbed wire crown. I figure I'm gonna read exactly what I wrote with that one because I thought that was a banger. I was laughing halfway through the next track because I thought it was hysterical. I can laugh at my own jokes. What could I say?
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, do you have anything else on the crown? Nope. Okay, let's go on to track 8, which is Chasing Lights. Yeah, I said something off about the vocals. I think this is on purpose, not sure. But then you have the scream coming in with "Lean on me," and I'm like, okay, really? And at that point, I just kind of lost the whole plot of it. I mean, like, what is the transitions too? Like, I just couldn't. I don't know.
So there's a few things here. The start of the song reminded me of "Harvester of Sorrow."
Okay.
And "Justice for All." I agree with you that again it was very reverby, and I think part of the problem, if you will, is that we're just not used to hearing James Hetfield try and scream high anymore.
Right, like I don't know if it was like he was attempting to do like I want to do a screaming, like a screamer is actually like a actual type of vocalization that happens in some bands and stuff like that. In case you didn't know, now you know. But anyway, it was like he was trying, but like kind of failing at the rest of it. Like usually a screamer, the whole line is screamed, not this one like little phrase over and over and over again. So it was like
it was a weird accent to kind of put on.
Yeah, right? Like,
but going back to no, that's okay. Going back to like the whole reverb thing. By this point, I'm sort of beating it to death. But there's a
sorry. We don't condone violence on this channel. Anyway,
the YouTuber Todd in the Shadows did a video on Saint Anger, and he had somehow managed to not hear the album or anything much about the album other than it's kind of by reputation.
Right, yeah.
And he mentioned that listening to that, he heard the first song, Frantic, and he was like, that's an interesting drum decision.
Okay.
And then he gets to Saint Anger, the second song, and he's like, wait a minute, they're not going to actually do this for the whole album, are they? And then he gets to the third song, Some Kind of Monster, and then he's like, oh no, they're doing this drum sound for the whole album.
I like Some Kind of Monster, but I hear you on the repetitive.
I like some kind of, again, I like Saint Anger music. But there are good reasons it is memed on production-wise.
Yeah, that is true.
My point being, I very much sympathized with him as regards the vocals on this album. I'm like, oh, this is, okay, here it is.
That was a thought you had. Yeah. Got it.
Here it is again. There's the reverb.
Right. So. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. All right. That was literally my only thoughts on it. I don't know if you had anything else.
No, I wrote clicky bass drum for some reason.
Oh yeah, I was hearing that too, and I thought it was just me. Cause like I don't know, I'm used to hearing real drums. So like even with our theme song and the theme song that you made for my other podcast, I hear the click.
Right.
And I didn't normally hear it in any other albums, so I was like, all right.
Right.
Again, another reason why it took me out of the song too. All right, let's go on to number 9. If Darkness Had a Sun, I'll let you. first because I have to figure out what I wrote.
Okay, so this was the one I actually went back to listen to.
Yeah.
On my setup here because this is where I started noticing like the drums, or at least the snare, I think it was specifically, was also kind of had a lot of reverb in this song.
I honestly thought we were in a drum line for like the first 20 seconds, like literally in high school in drumline.
Right.
And like the drumline was kind of getting its own like, let's do it. And it was like almost like they were doing this like, okay, let's get back to basics on purpose with this album.
Right.
Because like honestly, we have like the whole ideas of Temptation, which they've done before, back to basics on a typical like rock band theme, like stay away from temptation. I don't know if that was the intention. I literally got it. It was cool. I got it unironically. There's some points where it's like back to basics, and others, and just like our music instructor, Mr. J, said, just go as solo, make your solo as nuts as possible. And then that came in, and it was just like, I don't know. And I honestly, like, my only thought was, God, something about this bothers me, and I have no idea why. I had no idea. Like, I don't know. There were some points where I was just, I can't.
It reminded me of the end of the line from Death Magnetic.
See, you have more insight, like, based on, like, other albums. Me, I'm just, like, going, okay, this is what I like or what I don't like about it. Like, but basically, this whole entire, like, this track and the track before, I got majorly distracted. I don't know what happened.
But I do think that's also a little bit of the going back to the time discussion. Yeah. Like, I suppose it's going to be inevitable with a band that has been around as long as Metallica and has as many albums as Metallica does, and I've heard most of them. You know, is that by this point I'm listening to songs on their newest album here, and I'm like, oh yeah, this reminds me of this other song off this other album. Which is not bad, but it's...
Right. Done?
I'm going to jump around to a weird place here.
Go for it.
Bruno Mars.
Okay.
A lot of Bruno Mars stuff is not bad by any means, but it's like, oh, it reminds me of artist X, who he's essentially one step away from paying tribute to in this song. It's like, okay, cool. I could listen to Bruno Mars, or I could just go listen to the artist he's paying tribute to.
Right.
You know, that kind of thing. And I get a little bit of the same sense here. It's like, oh, I could listen to 72 Seasons, or I could listen to these other Metallica.
Right.
These songs are reminding me of.
That is fair. That's a fair point right there.
Yeah, here's a Mario. He can't quite figure out what he wants.
We don't know what he doesn't know what he wants. It's fine. I don't know.
You don't even know what
Did you have any other notes about that one, or?
Nope. That was it.
Mine was an extreme, but that was on me. Let's move on to track number 10, Too Far Gone. I don't know what I wrote there. I like the guitar riffs, I can tell you that. There's talking about self-doubts, which is definitely a lot of people know. I kind of got a Metallica meets pop feel to this one, actually. Like, I don't know. It means it's like they tried to write it for more radio play if they could. I don't know. And like at the very end, there's like that whole pep talk as in like, you know, hey, cool, you can deal with your inner demons, but like again, it's a theme that they've done before, so I don't know if that's what took me out of it, but I don't know. I was like, what the heck is this? Like, is this pop or is it Metallica? Come on, like pick a side, you know? I don't know.
Right. So one of the things I wrote was that I like the main riff before the vocals kick in had like a weird time signature, which I'm always into. Again, with the vocals, like, even when they're not being reverby, they were just, I felt like they were EQ'd in a very strange fashion.
Explain EQ for those that don't know.
EQ, equalizer. Your voice or anything has a bunch of frequencies in it. And you can, like a mixing board or, you know, a digital mixer, one of the things you can do is you can adjust the EQ on certain things. You can, you know, accentuate certain frequencies or take out certain frequencies, and that will actually change the sound.
Gotcha.
somewhat infamously, And Justice for All has almost no actual bass guitar on it, because supposedly the bass and the guitars were sort of fighting for the same sort of low mid frequency space.
Right.
And the guitars won, is the short version.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Bass on Metallica albums was always kind of mixed a little low even before that, though. I ranted about this a little bit in the past, but the Call of Cthulhu on Ride the Lightning has some tasty lead bass licks from Cliff Burton, and you're going to hear none of them except the occasional wow from his wah pedal if you're not listening on a decent pair of headphones.
That is very true, yeah.
So, while it got worse with And Justice for All, it was sort of always a problem on Metallica albums.
Gotcha.
But anyway, yeah, I noted that's yeah, okay. That I wrote that in a weird way, but essentially, like you were saying with the pop, again, like there's harmony, actual proper harmony.
Yeah, like that's what I mean. Like,
hear a lot of.
I was very
Metallica.
confused with the harmonies, to be honest. I was like, needed, not needed, I don't know. I mean, it in a way it worked for the song because the song was already cray cray anyway, but like,
right.
And that's my opinion, not his, mine. I don't know. You have anything you need to say about that one also?
No, that is, we can move on to the next one.
Okay, so Room of Mirrors. Let's see. My note is another, here, ready for it? Interesting backbeat.
This one actually is sort of interesting in that it shows how much drums can affect a song.
Right.
Because I was like, this would actually be kind of a slow groove if it weren't for the beat the drums
exactly.
were playing.
Well, that's why even my next note here was intriguing mix of textures.
Okay.
I didn't know what to follow first.
Right.
Too, like, and then like once the vocals came in, it was just like, do I follow the lyrics or do I follow all the rest of the stuff going on? It was definitely like a Metallica Fuel type of, I think that's right, Fuel.
Okay. The riff itself is sort of a like classic riff style.
Yeah.
I wrote Mountain Song by Jane's Addiction.
Oh, okay.
Which is not actually how Mountain Song goes.
Right.
It's that same cadence.
I don't know, like, and I'm gonna go back to like, I didn't know what to follow once the vocals came in, because the vocals themselves, the lyrics were actually very contrary to what was going on in the song, I felt. Like, I was picking out different lyrics at that point. Like, stars but rainbows, I mean, is what I heard, and then insanity, setting them free, and I was just like, okay, I can kind of see that. Maybe that's why I kind of clung to it, you know? And then, like, there's definitely an awesome guitar riff at one point. Like, there's an awkward transition in there. I don't know if I was the only one that thought that, but
I didn't write anything about an awkward transition. That doesn't mean I didn't notice it.
Right. I don't know exactly where it is in the song. I'd have to, like, listen to it back, but yeah, it was definitely like,
Right.
I don't know. All right. Anything else about that one or no?
Nope.
All right, now track number 12, Word of Warning. Definitely not my favorite. I'm going to tell you that.
We had some reactions to this one.
Very much so. My thought was definitely not my favorite. There's just really something about it that I just absolutely hated. Could have been done at about 4 minutes and 45 seconds. How long was this track? Let me take a look real quick. It was a total of 11 minutes and 10 seconds. Okay, it did not need to be that long. Like, I was bored after. Like, I don't know if you saw the reaction just like right before we're starting to talk about it. Both of us were talking to each other like, "What the be done, be done."
Yeah, I when the last song started, I was like, "Oh, okay, one more song to go. Let's see how."
That was that face, in case you were wondering.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I will say, as far as the individual components of the song, I mostly liked it. I do think, as Silver said, it really could have been 2 separate songs cutting off.
Honestly, I just felt like I was buried in cotton with it. Like, it was sort of boppable at the start and a little bit, like, heavy. But then, like, the cottony feeling just kind of settled in over me throughout the entire song. I don't know. And then there's just, like, harmonies. I actually wrote a note here that said, harmonies, what? Not in my Metallica songs. I don't know.
One thing I will say that I did kind of like about this, even if I didn't necessarily like the execution of it.
Right.
Similar to how at least a lot of my favorite Metallica albums have like the kind of classic style opener. They have a very similar classic style closer that, pounds your face in with speed.
Right.
Even the Black Album, The Struggle Within is pretty up-tempo for the Black Album kind of thing. They break the pattern a little bit with Load and Reload. With that.
Right.
Death Magnetic is My Apocalypse.
Yeah.
So again, very up-tempo. I like that they didn't go that route with this. I like that they tried something different to close it out. Even if, like I said, I don't know. Even the execution, like I said, I like in theory most of the song. I just don't know if it really needed to be one song.
I mean, my major thought was, honestly, they've done similar themes to this one, but like 100 times better before. I don't know. I literally checked out of the song, not even 5 minutes, and I'm done.
Yeah, again, the whole
like
thing
if there had been a cat in my lap, you would have seen me pet him the entire time. Like I would not have paid attention.
Like the whole thing about Misery, again, all I did was just remind me of My Friend of Misery.
Right, yeah, exactly. Like I said, similar themes, but 100 times better before.
Right.
Anyway.
I don't know. Overall, what did you...
Overall, I'd say the album was actually pretty good. There were certain ones that, like, I'm going to say definitely could trigger people, so everyone knows. We're going to have to do a lot of, like, editing our, Yeah, there were points where I just started going, like, talking behind my hands, like this. To Emptyeye, like, so that you couldn't see that. I'm like, oh my god, I hate this song, like, whatever. But, like, there were definitely, I think 72 Seasons is probably going to be on my rotation of songs from them.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, kind of at the start of the reaction, or near the start. Like, this is, again, another Metallica album where musically, I think it's mostly pretty strong. The production, some of it, like I said, accentuated by the setup here, so it's not all on them, but some of it is.
Right.
And I think, if I were to listen to this album again, which I will probably do at some point, like I said, it would be on a different setup, which...
Not my computer is what he's saying.
Which would mitigate some of those issues, though it wouldn't eliminate them, because it's all the reverb is still there. It's just this makes it stand out even more what is there. So but yeah, overall long album, but I sort of expected that with a Metallica album, like I said at the sort of the intro.
But overall, I would say not my favorite Metallica album, but there are definite good points.
Yeah, not my favorite, but definitely not my least favorite. I am not a fan of the Load Reload era.
Fair. I mean, they had that one album they released, just of Some Kind of Monster. I wasn't too sure about that one either, but like I think I like that one better than this one. Yeah.
Okay.
But to be fair, I'm not the connoisseur that he is. Anyway, let's go on to my pick. Okay, let's move on to my pick. It was actually New Kids on the Block and their new album called Still Kids. Came out May 17th, 2024. Looks like there's 14 tracks at about 44 minutes and 9 seconds.
Yeah, so in the same way you were not aware Metallica released a new album 2 years ago, I had no idea this album existed until we started discussing it in the prep for this podcast.
Right, and honestly, too, I didn't know until one of my viewers on my stream actually requested it as a track that they wanted to listen to. And I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing, but okay, let's go with it. Mario's back. Also, let's go ahead. We're going to go ahead and listen to it all the way through like we did before, and then pick one from YouTube we want to react to. We'll put that in the mix of the tracks, and we will be publishing our notes. Yeah?
Yep. Yeah.
For this one as well?
Sure.
All right. Let's go. All right. Okay, now we've listened to the entire album. We are going to take a quick breather, and we will go and discuss a little bit of what we liked about each track. All right. Okay, so overall, what did you think of the album?
I liked it overall.
Yeah.
It was interesting how it started off, where they were kind of like, hey, let's pretend the last 35 years of pop music just never happened. And then slowly as the album goes on, you kind of start hearing more like modern pop influences.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, is that from the start, you can kind of tell they were definitely influenced by so many different artists since the time that they were, I guess, popular on the radio play like all the time. So that's always good, right? Yeah. All right, so let's see. Let's talk this first song. It's called Magic. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and play the YouTube video of it. So we're going to need that. Hi, Ed. Sorry. And then that, because that was one of the ones that we thought was one of our favorites. Actually,
yeah,
my favorite. I picked that one. Yeah. And then Emptyeye picked another one.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, so that is the official, like, I think that's the official artwork that they have for the album. Yeah. Which is cool that they did it that way. Though the bubble was a little weird silhouette.
The one, yeah.
Like you see it with a little bubble silhouette. Yeah. It's kind of weird, right? Yeah. But that's kind of who they are. Oh yeah, I forgot that like little like trill that happens. That little trill that happens with the vocals just then. Right. I was like, oh yeah, maybe it was blocking that out. I don't know. But that's still kind of was a cool little like throwback kind of effect too, you know. Okay.
Okay.
So you guys. Okay, so overall, what do you think?
So overall, except for a few things, namely, I thought I heard like some auto-tune on some of the vocals.
Well, yeah, I mean, auto-tune is kind of...
Other than that, you could have told me the song was from 1990, and I'd be like, yeah, that checks out.
You would have got, yeah. That is very true.
Everything was very 80s synth.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, so other than that, like your first like initial thoughts of it before we even watched the video?
Yeah, so those kind of were my initial thoughts.
They were pretty much the...
It sounds like, a New Kids on the Block song.
That's true. And you mentioned the non-ending to the song, you guess? But it seemed like it was better in the video, right?
I think that one was okay, yeah. There are a couple other ones where I was like, oh, it just sort of ended there.
Yeah.
Which is something we could maybe talk about as far as the album as a whole.
No worries.
The other thing that I got listening through this was the spoken word parts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, 2/3 of the way through the song.
Yeah.
I think it's more the vocal texture than anything else that I got this from. But it reminded me a little bit of Linkin Park in a way.
Huh. Okay.
Even though it otherwise sounds nothing like that. It was just...
Right.
It sounded... to me, sounded kind of like some of the more spoken wordy parts of early Linkin Park songs.
Okay. All right.
I don't know if you had any other thoughts.
No, I mean, that was pretty much it. Like, I wrote down it is definitely like a New Kids on the Block track for sure. Is basically my only like thought process. But to be fair though, I have actually heard this song before and absolutely loved it. So thank you to that community member that suggested this album and that particular track for us to listen to. So that was All right, let's move on to the second track, which is Summer Love. I definitely said, lol, the falsetto that I know. That was my first thought. There's definitely a lot of that. It definitely feels kind of the same way as one of their, like, what do you call it, their original albums and stuff like that. It just sounds a little bit more grown up, but it is definitely the same falsetto. That's for dang sure.
So I have one note here, and I don't remember which specific part it was, where I thought they took a little bit of a weird vocal approach to hitting the note.
Okay.
I noted that there was felt like a little more like kind of 90s/2000s sort of R&B feel to it. And I think it's actually a little slower than this song, but I kind of got vibes of you mentioned later on, you mentioned, I think, Flashdance, and I think this is Footloose, Holding Out for a Hero vibes. From this song a little bit.
Yeah, that is one of the songs. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I hadn't got that, but to be fair, though, I didn't start playing the what does this song sound like until at least another track or two.
Yeah.
Actually, no, next track.
I think this song is actually a little slower than Holding Out for a Hero.
Okay.
That same.
But anyway, still, yeah. Like, you started playing that game almost right away.
I'm constantly playing that game in my head.
That's true. Well, speaking of which, long time coming, the third track, I said, what was it? They definitely sounded a lot more mature, but it's still the same, like, texture or whatever. Long time missing, etc. I don't even know. Like, the same themes, of their original albums and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I said this felt like the most, like, modern sounding song of the three
really?
So far. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's cool. Sorry, I'm also crocheting at the same time.
That was about all I had for that one.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds fair. Now, this is the next one called Kids is actually where I started, like, kind of realizing the theme of the album is that it's like they took the best lyrics from the 90s and just kind of put this in this big super mix for this one. Like, I heard, like, Dancing on the Ceiling and sort of other lyrics that we know kind of mashed together, and I'm like, I'm here for it. I don't know about you. What did you think?
So, what's funny is the song this reminded me of, the particular lyric is not in this song, but it's in another song later on the album. And I again noted auto-tune here. I got kind of Danger Zone vibes.
A little bit, yeah. Like, it was definitely a mix of, you know.
Yep. And then there is a part of the song. I can't read my own handwriting. Cool. But basically, there's a part of this that reminded me of the auto-tune. That's what it was. Like, reminded me of another song, another band, and I can't place what song.
Oh,
band.
Gotcha.
I wrote down 21 Pilots. I know that's not right, but I can't. Like, I can't think of
what
the song.
Think it. Yeah.
All right. I can't think of the song I'm actually thinking of.
Fair enough.
I know it's not a 21 Pilots song. So.
All right, so the next one, A Love Like This. My main note was, there's the Joey I know, i.e. his vocals, the falsetto we all kind of come to know and love over the years. Throughout the entire song, I can definitely tell it was inspired by other genres too, and honestly, most of the time, I felt like we were in a roller skating derby. And Emptyeye, I think at one point said, "No, it sounds like a prom song." I'm
yeah.
Like, okay, I hear you on that.
This is very, teen love kind of roller derby prom floor song.
Exactly.
This is another one that you could have told me this was written in the 80s and I'd have believed you.
Right, yeah.
The other note I had was, I don't know who played guitar on this album, if there's a session guitarist they worked with, but this is the part where they were like, "This is my time to shine. Let's go solo, baby."
Right. Noise. Okay, so the next one is Dance With You. Before we play the YouTube video, babe, what were
Yeah.
your initial thoughts for it?
So initial thoughts were the kind of chorus reminded me of the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
And I could hear the Beatles song in my head except for the words.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
That doesn't make you this excited, then you just haven't tried.
I saw her standing there. That's what it is.
Okay.
I'll never
gotcha.
dance with another.
Yes.
It's very similar to the
Right.
first line. I don't wanna dance with nobody here.
Yeah. I just
So
definitely got the definite dance feel.
Yeah.
So hopefully you guys kind of get that same feel. We're gonna play that video now. I will
Yep.
pause it if we have any like reactionary
Yep.
stuff to say. And also ads first.
Or gets going again. Very 80s.
Yeah, very 80s, yeah.
Right there.
Yep. Right there, yeah.
Yeah, that's I'll never dance
Yeah.
with another.
Yeah,
it's not quite the
exactly.
same, but it's pretty similar.
Well, I mean, that's what I was thinking too. Like, you
Yeah.
just happened to pick it out before I did. Let's
I
be
happen to
honest. Yeah.
finally remember the actual song and the words. Yeah. So
No less, you know, no less likable because it sounds like something else. Don't get us wrong.
right.
Very much 80s and 90s kids. Well, I am. Not me bopping the music along. Nope. A celebrity.
Yeah.
We got a celebrity. What do you think? He seems to like the song. It seems like every time we played this song, or like we're playing the song before, he's just sitting there like bopping. Very quiet about it too.
Yeah.
You think? Want to dance? What's your opinion about it? Meow?
Yeah.
Got meow meow?
Oh, okay.
He likes it.
Yeah.
He's doing the like headbutt in Emptyeye right now. Alright, anyway. This is a family effort here on this channel. Okay, with that, let's move on to the next track, which was, oh my gosh, which was Comeback. What were your initial thoughts, babe?
Initial thoughts were, and this comes up a few other times on a few other songs, and I'm actually curious if they wrote this album themselves or if they worked with outside songwriters. Because the reason I asked that is because this is the first of the songs that reminded me of kind of some of the music in the Greatest Showman soundtrack.
Oh, okay, yeah, you were saying that, yeah.
I'm wondering if there was some maybe, songwriter crossover there.
Could be.
Other than that, this was a song probably that more than the others, kind of maybe because of what I was hearing. Like, felt like I could hear this on the radio today.
Right.
I think it would work in that landscape. The other thing I noted, and this kind of goes to how pop music and the dominant way of listening to pop music has changed over the years.
Yeah.
This song doesn't have a fade out, and actually most of the songs on this don't fade out. They just kind of end. Some gracefully, some less so.
Yeah, that's true.
But like the fade out as a thing has, to use a lame pun, it has kind of faded out. As radio has become less and less how people get exposed to new music.
Right,
so
yeah.
The need to fade tracks one into another isn't really there anymore.
Well, especially on that YouTube video, they obviously didn't need the fade out. So
Right.
Yeah. My thought was maybe it was too influenced by other genres. And honestly, that one I could take or leave, to be honest. That one I didn't like.
Interesting.
Yeah. In the Night? What are your thoughts?
You kind of nailed it on this one.
Definitely Flashdance.
Yep, what a feeling.
Yeah,
you said it, and I was like, oh yeah, I can't unhear it now.
You can't unhear it. Yeah, exactly. Sorry. Yeah. But no, that's what I was getting when I was listening to it. I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah, I didn't have much else for that, except to note that was one of the few songs that did actually fade out. So interesting how I observed that, and then the next song proved me wrong.
There was a lead up to the chorus actually that was pretty on point. Like that's we should probably play that, but I already closed it out, so whatever. Oh, well. But yeah, basically it does have that similar like feel of lead up to the chorus that Flashdance has, which was just like, oh, I know this one. You know, it had that feel to it, even though it wasn't technically like a complete influence by it, I guess you can say. Anyway, the next one, Runaway.
Yep.
What are your thoughts?
Runaway. Kind of the same notes as I had on Summer Love, where kind of a little bit more modern-ish R&B, and again got the same holding out for a hero vibe from this one too.
Okay.
The only other note I wrote is this is not the Bon Jovi song Runaway. That's a different song.
My note was a few have the same feel almost, but still, you know, I like it. You know, poppy, dancey type thing. Yeah. Speaking of pop, the next track is called Pop. Yep. I have to say, the falsetto was back, which I really loved. I was definitely getting Funky Town feel. And almost like I wouldn't say like their usual type of lyrics, like, you know, that we're all kind of like used to and we're kind of really like. Right.
I didn't get Funky Town. I did from the falsetto, especially in the first verse. I got general Bee Gees vibes.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I can kind of see where Funky Town would come in there too, or vice versa.
Like, yeah, I don't know if it was quite Funky Town I was thinking, but I was definitely thinking Bee Gees.
That kind of disco-y.
Yeah, that feel. Yeah.
The other like thing I was reminded of, I think it was the keyboards. There was a bit of Jump by Van Halen in there too. I felt like.
Yeah, I can hear it now. I don't know why I didn't hear it at the time, but yeah.
Yeah. So.
All right. Any other notes for that one or no?
No.
All right, my next one, Get Down, says some featuring DJ Jazzy Jeff. Anyway, I did also get Upside Down feel from that.
Yeah, you said that like right away.
Right away, like like I said, I started playing that. What does it sound like? And then wrote it down in my notes, and that's it. Like my notes.
Yeah. I didn't have a lot of notes for this one, but I will note that DJ Jazzy Jeff actually does DJ sets on Twitch on occasion, which is kind of neat.
Cool. I guess we can link them then.
Yeah.
Remind me.
All right, I will do that. I can't remember what the Twitch name actually is. It's probably something related to Jazzy Jeff or DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Gotcha. No, that's fine if he wants to go. I don't care.
All right. But yeah, so for those who don't know, DJ Jazzy Jeff is probably the... he's had a long career in music, but he was probably the relatively less successful of the duo he was in, because the other guy was a guy by the name of Will Smith, a.k.a. The Fresh Prince. So, DJ Jazzy Jeff did pretty well for himself, though. Don't mean to diminish his accomplishments.
Yeah, that is very true. The next... If he'll let me touch my mouse. Yes. It's called Old School Love, also featuring Taylor Dane.
I hope you can bail me out here, because I have no idea who Taylor Dane is. DJ Jazzy Jeff, yes. Taylor Dane, no.
I don't know, but the result of it was that it definitely was a, like, the Boys to Men feel, I don't know if you know the lyric that I'm saying, but I won't say it because it's not safe for YouTube.
Oh, okay.
That's literally the lyric I
Hmm.
was thinking of, because it was just like, okay, you had a bunch of the guys singing, and then all of a sudden this female voice comes in, so it gave me that kind of vibe. Number one, and then the lyrics definitely reminded me of it.
I wrote down that this could. Hold on, is that the one? No, that is not the one. Never mind. I don't have a lot of notes for this one, but I do note the.
I'll tell you what song it was from Voiceman. Y'all know. Too Close. That song.
I don't know, but all right.
Yep. Anyway, what were you saying? Sorry.
Okay, no, I don't have any notes for this one. Just I noted the female voice, and I'm like, oh, that must be Taylor Dane, and
Yeah,
that was kind of as far as
that's what you clocked. Okay, all right, fair enough. Fair enough. The next one, called Better Days. I think we both kind of agreed it was the most original sounding of them and less 80s. Was the note that we had.
Yeah, I wrote that this could be a bunch of different songs. I'm guessing that it reminded me of a bunch of different songs without my being able to peg any one of them in particular.
Gotcha. Okay.
There were parts of it that were a little John Mellencampy. Pink
Yeah, I
Houses,
can see that.
specifically.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. That's cool.
But
Yeah.
besides that, that was my...
Our opinions toward the end sort of kind of been like, okay, what does it sound like? And then just...
Yeah.
This one was...
I was pretty wiped out by the end.
Yeah. Okay, so the last one on the list, Stay. What did you say? It kind of sounded a little bit like Greatest Showman. Like
yes,
that,
this is another one that had
yeah.
the Greatest Showman feel to it. I wrote 2010's Woo, which I kind of know what I mean by that. Like there was some vocal affectation in the song that reminded me of a lot of songs you would hear, on 2010's pop radio. It was pretty early in the song, I think.
Can you imitate it though?
No.
Okay. So should I find an audio cue for it for you, or
if you really want to?
What is it? 2010.
Well, if you just pull up the song, I can tell you where.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll work.
That might be easier.
Yes, thank you. Could have blocked it.
Right there. That like background.
Oh, I think it might be one of the instruments used, actually.
Probably,
I don't think it was an actual vocalization, though.
That makes sense.
But I know, okay, yeah, I know that.
Now that
one,
you,
yeah.
now that I say it, now that you've heard it, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Ugh, anyway.
Yeah, it may not be an actual vocal thing,
right.
But anyway.
Yeah. Alright, so with that, do we have any further last minute comments for the album? I mean, I enjoy it because they were my jam. Let's put it that way when I was that young.
There were a couple songs I really liked. Obviously Dance With You.
Yeah.
Also songs that we didn't listen to, but that I marked as potential candidates were Long Time Coming and Kids, which it looks like they did an actual video for, just kind of looking up here. So,
oh yeah, you were kind of looking through.
I was glancing at what you were doing on your screens there. So yeah, and then Stay was So,
okay.
I will say after the kind of odyssey that was the Metallica album, which again, most of which I liked musically, but it was still long.
Right.
I enjoyed that both the songs were all fairly short.
Right.
Didn't overstay their welcome, I think is a more positive.
Yeah, which is like indicative of pop songs in general,
sure.
which is
and that the overall album was, a little more than half as long as the Metallica album.
well, that too, yes.
As a result of that.
But like, so basically, the album itself kind of lived up to expectations for a pop album. You would say?
Yeah, I won't say my expectations were super high, but it was interesting to hear a 2024 New Kids on the Block album.
Yeah,
and how much it did or did not.
Yes.
How much they did or did not change.
Right.
1990.
Cool. So. All right. Well, with that said, this is going to be a long freaking podcast. I need to actually start the editing process at some point. So before we do, why don't you tell people where they can find you on socials across the board?
Sure. So I have a website at emptyeye.com. I'm also on YouTube at emptyeye.com. I'm on Discord as Emptyeye. Don't cold friend request me. I will ignore it.
Same.
And then I am also on Twitch at twitch.tv/Emptyeye.
Cool. And also you can find me. I do have my own website. I'll link everything down below, but I do have my own website where I put all the show notes, and the show notes from this podcast will also be there as well. I would say give me the end of the day that this goes out for me to put that up. I also do have a Discord server that also is linked. I am silver.42 because 42 is the answer to everything. I'm a dork, I know. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Silver the Diamond Witch. Also on Goodreads, because I do kind of use that as a social network for all of my book reading. And yes, I am a reader a lot. And also you can find me on Ko-Fi with all of my patterns and the things that I kind of work on. And when I remember to update, there's also the things that I have finished. All right. With that said, we are going to call it a day. Number one in the books, baby.
Yeah, we made it.
We will see you sometime in quarter 2. We can't say it's going to be the first Wednesday like it is this time, but like we're going to try. We're going to try.
Quarter 2.
We're recording this about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks later than we anticipated, so it's fine. Anyway, hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Ready?
Something like that.
You are done. Bye.
I think
Ads.
I just won my taxes.
All right,
Oh, yeah?
Well,